Phil Lindeman with Krystal 93 News, and I am here today talking human performance with Team Summit's Chris Hughes. How you doing today, Chris?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Well, thanks for coming in to talk. You know, it's start of ski season. Everybody is getting real pumped, real excited about getting out on the snow. But before that happens, what we need to do is make sure that our bodies are going to be able to survive the entire season, from now on, all the chatter to the powder to the end of the year when we want to get into the backcountry. So we'll start real quick with Team Summit. You guys work constantly throughout the year these days with the kids. What are they doing to stay strong even when there's not snow on the ground?
We are a year-round program, especially for our older athletes. We give them about a 2-week break at the end of April, beginning of May. At that point, we dive into what we call general physical preparedness or work capacity. From there, we move in and spend most of our summertime in strength training. And of course, all the kids involved in slope style and the snowboarders with slope style and the mogul skiers and so forth do a lot of water ramping, gymnastics, and so forth like that.
So they're getting a little bit of a kind of like mixed training. They're getting strength training, they're getting their skill training, they're getting a little bit of everything all year round these days.
All year round, and they also spend a lot of time on snow in the summer in Mount Hood, over to Zermatt, Switzerland, and Chile as well this year.
Great, great. Why is it important, maybe even more than ever, for young ski club athletes to have that year-round experience and to have that year-round training?
All sports are becoming more and more specialized, especially at younger ages. At the very young ages, we do encourage kids to play all sports to get better at what their specific sport might be or their desire might be. As the progression of each sport evolves, it does require more and more time in a specialized field. So if we do have the park and pipe kids and the mogul kids needing a gymnastics background and just overall more strength training for the alpine racers.
Keeps them on top of the game as the game is getting a little more competitive than ever before almost.
Absolutely, that's correct.
Great. What kind of excitement do you guys get with an Olympic year like this? You know, you get to see the fruits of so much training with those high-level athletes. Do the kids get pretty stoked as they're watching, some of their heroes out doing
the kids get very, very excited. The athletes get very excited watching the other athletes that they may have met or trained with other ski clubs. And this year, we're fortunate enough to have one of our alumni on a U.S. freestyle ski team. She's been there for 10 years. And it is a bit of a stab for everybody to make it to the Olympics, but I know Michaela Matthews is going to give it her best shot.
And Michaela, remind me her discipline.
She's a mogul skier.
Mogul skier, great. Now, switching gears, the athletes. They're training all year long. What kind of stuff are they doing right now? Or what kind of stuff are they doing right before the ski season to really get ready for the moment that they start spending, 5 days on the snow every week?
As we spend a big portion of our summer in strength training, at this point we start moving towards exercises that develop something called rate of force development. Good examples of those might be some light Olympic lifting, which could be done with bars or dumbbells, or some box jumping and other speed-related and foot coordination activities, foot speed activities.
How can the average Joe, the average skier, the guy who is going out and, charging powder on his own, use some of these exercises to make his season longer, make his season better? What kind of things would you recommend for someone who wants to get that Team Summit experience in the gym or anywhere else?
Just make sure at this time of year that you are addressing certain rate of force development activities, always keeping your strength training on the next step of the workout, such as squats and, of course, single leg strength work as well, to make sure we don't have one leg stronger than the other. Very important to keep your trunk nice and strong. Low back activities and transverse abdominis activities, not just the big six-pack muscles that you see in your abs, but the underlying muscles that help support your midsection. And the best way to do that is what's called a ground-based environment. So an example of that would be maybe doing a rubber band or a cable machine exercise where you're standing and rotating it around you or reaching away from your body and pulling it back in. So we're getting that trunk strengthening exercise while standing on the ground.
Yeah, and I know that in the past when I've done some talking about preseason workouts and all that sort of stuff, core is a misnomer for a lot of people because they assume it is those six-pack abs, the main muscles that you see. What else is part of your core that you need to be strengthening?
We really should expand our thinking on core to pretty much go from your collarbones and your shoulders all the way down to the base of your knees and everything in between. So you want to keep your hamstrings and your backside very strong to help protect your knees and also help build stability and balance by having a nice strong butt. People don't realize how involved your butt is in keeping your back healthy and strong as well.
Yeah, and obviously, I myself have had knee injuries before, so I know the importance of making sure that you're strong top to bottom. What else are some things that people might be overlooking? Some parts of their body that they're overlooking that really do play an important role when it comes to staying healthy all ski season?
Just staying healthy in general, not just to mention snow sport, but just in general, address postural strength activities as well. So we want to make sure that we work on neck and head retraction exercises to make sure your head is stacked, your ears stacked over your collarbones to help with the postural strength there. Stability in your shoulders that get your shoulders to depress down and retract back. Modern days spent sitting on the computer, talking on the phone, driving a car, our shoulders move forward and round and rotate inward. We want to do everything we can to retract our shoulders back and externally rotate them. We also want to make sure, again, that you're working your transverse abdominis to help stabilize having either too much sway in your low back or not enough. And we want to get that transverse abdominis nice and strong so we can get that low back sitting in the proper position.
Okay, great. And like I was saying, I personally myself have dealt with injury. What's some advice that you have for folks who are like me, who have dealt with injury before, might be coming back first season after an injury, or this injury is 5 years old? What can they do to, stay strong, stay healthy, and avoid that second injury?
One of the most common injuries that we run into, of course, are knee injuries, no matter what the sports they do. So if we address that common injury, the number one thing I'd say at this point, if you've already finished your physical therapy and you're on to doing other sports, make sure that you keep your hamstrings very, very strong to help stabilize the knee. And make sure your butt is nice and strong to make sure the knee is tracking properly over your feet.
Great. Now, final question for you. Ski versus snowboard. Any difference there for the strength training? Do people want to be focusing on particular things for ski or particular things for snowboard? Or is it just a good idea to do the same no matter what sport you choose?
I think for most people outside of very specific competitive athletes, it's good to have a balance that's going to look very similar whether you're a skier or a snowboarder.
So, Chris, I know that exercise doesn't end in the gym and staying healthy doesn't end when you take your ski boots off. Tell me what people can do to make sure that they are staying healthy and strong before and after recovery.
Probably one of the biggest differences that we see between general population playing sports and our competitive athletes is the efforts that our competitive athletes and everyone else should put into is recuperating. Make sure to do your dynamic stretching before your activities, your mobility walks before you hit the hill, in the parking lot, in the lodge before you put your boots on. After your activities, it's a very good idea to get a light bike ride in or some sort of 5 to 10 minutes of light cardiovascular activity, some static stretching at that point, and of course foam rolling to help the muscles recover and if you have some sore muscles, address those issues. And as always, proper hydration, proper nutrition, and adequate rest.
Definitely. And I know some people, myself included, sometimes get a little thrown off or aren't quite sure where to begin with stretching. What's a good place? What's a good routine to get into with stretching? Some basic things that you can do before and after.
Before stretching or before activities, you want to make sure that you're doing dynamic stretching, which simply means like high kicks, knee hugs, butt kicks, maybe some walking lunges with a little bit of rotation, some light balance drills. But you want to keep your stretching moving and fluid before the activities. That will actually enhance your coordination and excite the neurological system, making you a little bit more powerful as well while you're on the hill. So you don't feel like you're coming out and those first 2 runs are just to loosen you up. You're already there and off to the races. Afterwards, just a general stretching of hamstrings, quadriceps, backside, of course, is very important because that can cause a lot of back problems. If you're completely lost on where do I go with some basic stretching, yoga is a great idea for some light transverse abdominal strengthening and also some flexibility with that as well.
Perfect. Looking ahead, what is on the schedule for the Team Summit kids? So when does their season begin? When do they get out on snow and start competing?
A lot of our athletes, our older athletes, academic athletes, have started on snow already. They've been training a little bit at Arapahoe Basin and fortunate enough to do some pre-season skiing at Copper Mountain before it opens to the public. Very cool. Our younger group starts in about 2 weeks, and our very youngest kids then will start early December.
Very cool. Ski season right around the corner for Team Summit, helping you stay strong and helping some of the youngest athletes here in Summit County stay strong. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.